Hey, what's up guys? It's Pedro here from noobcoder.com, and in this tutorial I want to talk about variables and primitive data types. So what a variable is a way of storing data. Now I would want to store this data so I could use it later on in my program. So the way that I declare a variable is by type, because Java is a statically typed language, which means I have to declare the type of the variable. So these are my types: byte, short, int, and long, in order to represent whole numbers. Now each of these primitive data types can represent a different range. So a byte can only represent -128 to 127, a short can represent this, and etc. So let's take a look at an example. So if I want to declare a variable, I need to give the type first. So I could choose byte. I need to give a name of the variable. So I could say number1. An equal sign. This means the assignment operator plus the value. So I can say 10 followed by a semicolon. Now if I run this, nothing will happen. And that's because I'm not printing it out to the console. So how would I do that? Sys out, control space is a shortcut. And I could just pass it number1, the variable name. And if I run this, you see that we get 10, because that's what we assigned the variable number1, 10. So play around with these. I could call this a short, run it. You'll see that we'll get the same result. Now there are other ways of declaring a variable. This way is pretty much the shorthand way. So but I could comment this out. I can say int x is assigned a value of 15 semicolon. Oh, excuse me, I want to show you the other way. I can say int x, end that line, and then later on I can say x is assigned a value of 15 semicolon. Control S. Now number1 doesn't exist because this is a comment. So let me delete this and type x. Let's run this, and you see we get 15. So this will be the same for byte, short, int, long, doesn't matter. You always put the type first, the name of the variable, and then the last step is to assign it a value. So you could do the shorthand way, all in one line, or you could do it in 2 lines. Now I want to get down here. So let me just clear all this out. So that's great for whole numbers, but what happens if I want decimal numbers? So let's say it would be the same exact syntax. So I could say float, and I could call it x, and I could say 3.14 for pi, right? And that line. Now this is going to give me an error, and it's waiting for an F symbol. This is probably the weirdest variable declaration in the history of variable declarations. So in Java, you have to add this stupid F. In other programming languages, you don't. And this will indicate that this is a floating point number. So if I say sys out and I say x, if I print this out, you will get 3.14. So that's a decimal. And now I could change this to a double to show you the other way. Control S to save. Run it. And why am I getting that weird number? Let's get rid of this. Control S, run it. Get 3.14. And you might say, what's the difference? Well, a floating point number is less precise than a double. And the reason is because a double has more bits. So literally double the amount of a floating. So this has 32 bits, this has 64 bits. And let's go to our last primitive data types. We're going to have a Boolean, and a Boolean can hold true or false. Those are the only two values it can hold. So I'm going to name it true or false. I'm going to assign it a value of true. And that sys out true. So right now I hit control space, it gives me this autocomplete, and I could go down to true of false. I meant to name it true or false, but it doesn't matter. Control S, let's print this, and you get true. I could type this, I could assign the value of false, and you should get false. So Boolean, real simple. You only have two values you could assign it. And last but not least, we have char. So a char can only hold characters. So I'm going to say some character as my variable name. I'm going to assign it a value of C. Now, instead of double quotes like the string literal in the previous tutorials, remember in the last tutorial we wrote a bunch of things and printed it out within double quotes? You use the single quotes and one character. That's it. That's all you get. You cannot type more than one character. So one character, end that line, sys out some character. Control S, let's run this, and we get R. So those are all the primitive data types, and that is how you declare variables. So I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Like, comment, subscribe.